In this video, I want to show you the connection between Hebrew word roots and what's happening right now. In the headlines, in every news broadcast. Qatar is undeniably at center stage. Eyes from every corner of the world are on it. But maybe we're looking the wrong way. Because what makes headlines today is often forgotten by tomorrow. Before we dive into Qatar, I want you to listen to this short opening. It will show you how Hebrew words open and reveal. This channel isn't about opinions or commentary. It's about language and what's hidden within it. Have you ever truly thought about the story of eating from the tree of knowledge? What was so terrible about knowing that all of humanity was cast out of the garden for a single bite? Hebrew doesn't just hold this secret, it actually explains it, and it holds the solution too. Creation begins with the letter Bet, the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Bereshit, bar means offspring or product. Bara means to bring something out, to manifest. So in the original design, what was meant to emerge was a natural bar, wild, pure, untamed, the original sun. But something went wrong, and the bar became a ben, a sun shaped by form and expectation. The letter nun pulls downward. In Aramaic, nun means fish, something that sinks to the depths. Even the word teva, nature, comes from litboa, to drown in the lower waters in this world. Think about it. Can you really see clearly under the sea? In all that salt? Everything is distorted. That's how humanity sees divine wisdom, distorted. And just like any drowning person, the instinct is to fight, to kick, to rise with all your strength, until you reach exhaustion. And that exhaustion is what calls you to surrender, to pause, to take time, to observe. This is the analogy to our world. We act, build, fight, research. We wire electrodes into monkey brains, inject anything we can into mice. Even those who see themselves as enlightened, scientific, rational, believe this is progress. They call it illumination. And others just believe them. Believe they need the pills they produce, the theories, the studies, which are usually overturned every few years anyway. They call it a discovery, forgetting that the last theory was just a guess, and it was wrong. Now they're guessing again. Humanity worships those who don't give up, who keep searching tirelessly. We donate, believe, support, hoping maybe one day they'll find the cure, the miracle drug, the fountain of youth, eternity. And all this time, the Hebrew letters are waiting, whispering to us. It doesn't work like that. Let go. Just observe. Everything is already here. Everything is already prepared. Everything is meant for you. Everything you need to know is written, not just in words, in every manifestation. The flutter of wings, the hum of a bee, a turtle peeking out from its shell. Just observe. This is where Hebrew stands still and listens. It doesn't push outward. It draws from within. Its power is birthing, not conquering. Root, not rule. Because in Hebrew, creation means releasing from within, drawing out what is already seated in silence to reveal what was already waiting. But in Arabic, especially colloquial, bara means out, get out, be gone, exiled. It's not a birth, it's a boundary. Not a revealing, but a removal. The same sounds, BRA, but the direction is reversed. Hebrew, rooted expression from within. Arabic, authoritative force from without. One is a source, the other a threshold. And this isn't a contradiction, it's evolution. Arabic represents the phase we're in right now. It's part of the unfolding. an essential step in the story. But it also marks a regression in human tenderness, like a circular motion repeating itself, not because we're stuck, but because we're tracing the spiral path of the serpent. Each loop looks familiar, but it's never exactly the same. It's not failure. It's the dance of becoming. Hebrew plants the root. Arabic defines the border. Hebrew says, it's in you. Arabic says, you're in or you're out. Even the word Hagar carries this shift. She who was once inside is cast out. Her name means the one who became a stranger. From Lagor, to dwell temporarily, to be within, yet not belong. And from Hagar comes Ishmael. The wild son. The one outside the covenant, but not outside the story. And here's the brilliance of it all. Hebrew is about the root, core, direction, unfolding. Arabic, by contrast, emerges like evening, a blend-in, a confusion, a beauty of shadows. The root in Hebrew is a line. In Arabic, it becomes a swirl. One reveals, one guards, one births, one expels, but both are needed. One to dig into essence, the other to draw the line. In all this time, the Hebrew letters wait, whispering, it doesn't work the way you think. Let go, just observe. Everything you seek is already here, not in the pill, not in the theory, not in the machine. It just seems like progress. All you ever needed to know is already written. In the letters, in your breath, in the pause. Just observe. And remember where the line begins and where it fades into evening. Before we dive into the Hebrew root of Qatar, there's one thing we need to understand. In Hebrew, some letters can sound almost the same. Dalet and Tav, Kaf and Kof, Shin and Samek. We hear them shift in Arabic, Aramaic, even Syriac. Linguists call it sound drift. But Hebrew isn't just sound, it's structure, it's intention. Because in Hebrew, every time one letter shifts into its cousin, a new layer opens. It's not decay, it's design. When Kaf becomes Kof or Tav becomes Tet, the meaning doesn't vanish, it deepens. This is not random phonetic evolution, it's a spiral of meaning. And that's where Qatar enters. A word that sounds like cater, the crown, looks like Qatar, the engine, and echoes tikter, to encircle, to seal, to surround. It all starts with the letters, and the letters never lie. And so, the word shifts from a crown to a siege, from encircling to cutting off, from pressure to rupture. But not all cutting is destruction. Sometimes to cut is to commit, to make space for something new. Genesis 15:18. On that day, Yahweh cut a covenant with Abram. A covenant is not only an entrance, it is a separation. To choose one path is to abandon another. To enter a circle is to leave something outside of it. At the moment the covenant is cut, something else is severed. When Yahweh chooses Abraham, he doesn't just begin a story, he ends one. Terach, Abraham's father, stands behind him like a sealed system, stuck, frozen, complete. But that cutting was also a burning, a boil, a rupture, a point of no return, and it's all encoded in his name. Terach, Ratach, Chatar, boiling, breaking, breaching. In other languages, natural means pure, clean, organic. But in Hebrew, teva tells a different story, because the root means to drown, to be submerged, to be pressed into a mold. So what we call nature isn't freedom, it's entrapment. Not elevation, but entanglement. Even the sound teva echoes taba'at, a ring, a cycle, a loop. Not the crown above, but the vortex below. another tightening spiral in the endless circles of this realm. This is the lower water, where dragons lurk, and truth is always distorted by pressure and depth. In English, you say organic, but in Hebrew, you see, it's coded bondage, elegant, natural, but still a trap. The world isn't shaped by one big bang, it's made of millions of tiny boils. Each soul, each system, each generation reaching its point of pressure, and then release. What follows? Steam, echoes, witnesses. What rises is the testimony, the impression, that which remains. The crown is not a symbol of royalty. It does not come to enthrone, but to encircle. Like a divine lasso, it surrounds, binds, and marks. Not to grant power, but to designate the stage. Each time, it is placed on a new head: Britain, America, China. But the head is not the king, because the opposite of a king is not a servant. It is nothing. The crown does not grant existence, it uses it. It doesn't rule, it encodes. This is not sovereignty. It's a silent mechanism, almost invisible. It tightens around reality like a ring, a cosmic signal, like a red pin on the timeline. Here. This is the event. Observe. This is the new arena, the central stage. What was written long ago now plays out in a theater near you. The mountain of origin. The end is already scripted. The confrontation of Gog and Magog will unfold between India and China, but the encirclement has already taken place. The divine chessboard is in motion. The pieces are marked. The head is claimed. Now comes the question: who recognized the moment? And who gets this is just a game. It's hard to grasp that the entire story of humanity is encoded in words, in letters, in scripts, a cruel joke. And so we keep resisting, erasing, rewriting, trying to rearrange the script. But that attempt is the engine, the train that pulls the story forward, and with it time itself. But the tracks are already embedded in the ground. The rails do not move. And so we return to Qatar, not just the nation, but the word. Qatar, not just the place, the symbol, the engine whose turn it is now to pull the carriages. Yes, I know how strange this sounds, but this is how it's built. The words reveal, layer by layer, a vast system of codes we humans can only grasp in waves. Qatar gains power through cunning, through slipping into old monarchies, Britain, America. Its strategy is to encircle the world with money, with influence by any means necessary. Democracy is its favorite tool. Slowly, it places itself atop every head. Every symbol is a key. God and His truth are found in the smallest details. Try to follow. The Qatari crown is made of black cords. The black rope that holds the Arab keffiyeh in place is called ʿiqāl. It's a circular rope, usually woven from wool, used to secure the keffiyeh. But it also carries symbolic weight, self-control, and restraint. The word ʿiqāl comes from the Arabic, reason, intellect. So it's not just a fashion accessory. It's a symbol of inner discipline and wise restraint. A man who wears it once represents someone who can hold himself back, act responsibly. It is the opposite of a crown. The crown comes from outside. It marks ownership or authority. The ʔqāl holds from within. It represents inner strength. But Hebrew reveals another layer. The root ʔiqāl in Hebrew is to twist, to coil, a snake movement. The ʔqāl isn't just round, it's black. Another twist of the serpent. And that twist is always on its way to straighten. The same root appears in the story of Jacob. The hands are the hands of Esau, Christianity. Today, the red power, but the voice is the voice of Jacob. And this is the voice God hears. What seems to us like separate forces are just parallel lines. And so Islam teaches that we're still operating from the head, from human logic. It claims submission, but remains busy subduing. Why? Because we're still in the outer rings, trying to learn, teach, declare what's right and what's wrong. And more than anything, we try to control the narrative, control the story itself. The exodus from Canaan and entry into the promised land is an inward movement. So that black twist, what does it sit on? The keffiyeh. And the word keffiyeh tells the Muslim mechanism, submission under the dome of heaven. This is the Islamic crown, to encircle, to trap, to mark. It's about a quiet conquest. And how is it achieved? Through accepted channels, politics, diplomacy, economy, democracy. That's how the majority's conquered, from within their own tools. Humanity already got a preview of this method. Under Nazi rule, there is always a preview. Like corona, the virus, meaning crown in Latin, a global force wrapped in invisible authority. No armies, just encirclement. In Arabic, Mukhtar means the chosen one. It comes from human logic. Someone chose someone, a rational act, a process of judgment and will. It's rooted in intellect, in reason, in restraint. But in Hebrew, keter, crown, does not come from below. It descends. It's not a product of human choice, but a divine marking, a signal, a calling, a seal. That's the core difference. In Arabic, it is the choice of man. In Hebrew, it is the designation from above. Hebrew doesn't just tell you who's chosen. It reveals why and for what purpose. Right here, in this moment, we have a living example for such a word, because Hebrew isn't a man-made language. It encodes the truth that only one has control. Every root, every word is a trace of that truth. But what is center today becomes the serpent's tail tomorrow, and the color red always returns to point to the central event. Look east, not out of prophecy, but because the map has shifted. China, in Chinese, is the center, the kingdom. The central kingdom, just like the West claims universality, so does the East. Everyone wants to be the axis, but in Hebrew, only God crowns. He exalts, he humbles, he opens, he closes. Power, it's just a costume, a role, a mask. Even if the crown is on your head, you're still not the king. This world is a play, and the moment you take it too seriously, you drown. Only the one outside the script knows how it ends. The crown is not what's placed on your head. It's what wraps around it without you noticing. Look at the word keter, crown. Engine, a pulling force. One is symbolic, the other mechanical. In China, maybe it's the last carriage or the first. Maybe the crown isn't switching heads. It's searching for its root. This is Gog and Magog, the final war. The divine chessboard is marked. The pieces are in place. The pin is set. Israel is not a place. It's a coordinate origin. Zion is not a destination. It's a marker. Jerusalem is not a city. Observation tower. It's a seeing mechanism. From the mountain, clarity. From the bird's view, sequence. The Hebrew word bird shares root with the word sequence. It pierces, it moves, it hovers. God protects Jerusalem like flying birds. The bird is the vision, the full picture. And this ties to the strange command, send away the mother bird, not out of cruelty, but so we can carry on. Send becames, weakness, forging, immunity. The weak inherit the land. Those who let go are strengthened. The crown doesn't give dominion. It marks who has surrendered. And the circle closes. The crown was never meant to rule. It was meant to test, to seal, to forge, to prepare. Only those who release are crowned. Only those who yield are ready. Everything moves. Even crowns melt. Even actors leave the stage. In the Torah and Hebrew, still whisper, don't mistake costume for essence. Don't cling to the crown. The one who gives also takes. And what encircles eventually lets go.